Oh man, it's here! Finally, AEW Fight Forever. God, I'm so excited. This is the change we needed to shake up the wrestling game industry. A modern day version of No Mercy featuring the stars of AEW? Let's go! Man, what to play? No. Screw it, I'm playing 2K19 again. Okay. AEW. This one's gonna be hairy. Look, I know that you AEW fans are a dedicated and loyal group of fans. But hey, I'm an AEW fan too, plus a wrestling fan in general. I'm not sure if I've ever stated it, but I've definitely never hit it. I mean, my most viewed video is my rankings of the WWE 2K games, which if you haven't seen, right there. Go check it out, it was a lot of fun. Now, I liked AEW Fight Forever. I know. No, wait, no, stop! I thought we liked AEW!
Yeah, well that was yesterday. Today we hate it.
I'm just hitting you to feel included.
Big man, help me. Ow, fuck! Okay. Yes, I liked it. That doesn't mean it isn't flawed. But then again, what game isn't? Oh, well, yeah, of course not you. You're perfect. I'm gonna be angering one side of the wrestling community regardless of what I choose. So to clarify, I think what's different about AEW's specific situation is that there was a few promises and expectations that weren't kept, and some major lacks of content in some pretty crucial areas that don't really warrant a full AAA studio price tag. Which is starting to sound familiar. I mean, at a full-fledged price of $70, god damn, that's a bit steep for any game. Let alone one that could have used at least another year or two in the oven. So it appears to me that the general consensus of this game is that a majority of people don't like the game due to obvious flaws, and the rest like it due to it being a pretty fun game for what is there. Competition is good for the quality of its opposer, and with 2K24 around the corner, and it looking like it's gonna be a pretty solid game, I'd say that could be true. And to give everyone the full scope of why AEW was a disappointment to many, I want to give you the full rundown of years and years of hype and good press that may have contributed to expectations for the game that may have never been possible to achieve. So what happened to AEW Fight Forever? The date was November 10th, 2020. On this day, AEW held the first ever AEW Games presentation. It featured Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, Aubrey Edwards, and more. It was a fun, comedic, and most of all, exciting event. It was here that it was announced that an AEW game was in the works, and the game was going to be developed by Ukes, who were in charge of all the fan-favorite wrestling games, such as WWE 2K19, WWE 2K14, SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, SmackDown vs. Raw 2007, and many more. It was also revealed that Hideyuki Iwashita was going to be the director of this game, who was most notable for his contributions towards directing wrestling games like WWF No Mercy and WCW NWO Revenge. So needless to say, right at the start of it all, the hype was very much real for this game. Over the course of the next 3 years, AEW kept fans updated with the game through gameplay trailers and live streams, which also showcased new members of the game's roster. The first trailer revealing Kenny Omega and Chris Jericho, and later ones revealing the likes of Darby Allin and Jungle Boy, with the only critiques at this time being the game's stylized graphics, which of course aren't for everybody. Everything really seemed like it was on the up and up, as more announcements kept flooding in with updates for the game, like the official roster size, which launched with 52 playable characters, with more to come down the road. It all came to a climax after April 21st, 2022's episode of AEW Dynamite. Tony Khan entered the ring in front of the show's live crowd, making the official announcement that the game's name would be AEW Fight Forever. Now, finally able to put a name to the face of it all, the only step now was to anxiously await for its release. And after that, the rest is history, as a little over a year later, on June 29th, 2023, the game finally released to the public for all to enjoy. Now, maybe you're not a big wrestling fan, or just don't know much about the game's history, but I needed to put you in the shoes of wrestling fans to understand that to many, this game seemed like it was going to be the best wrestling game in a very long time. this was not the case. The first thing many fans realized after this TNA Impact-esque intro, no, I'm serious, watch a comparison, this is almost exactly like the opening cinematic to TNA Impact the video game, was a specific lacking of a certain something. That being substance, content. There isn't nothing to do at all, but there isn't a lot. Obvious is a lack of match types, sporting a few singles and tag team matches, and of course, AEW's more standout matches like the Exploding Barbed Wire Death Match and Casino Battle Royale. Now, I'm a firm believer that gameplay can make up for flaws such as these, and one of the things I believe AEW and Yuke's nailed in their game was presentation and gameplay. Its fun, stylized graphics, which is like a mix of realism and cartoons, made it stand out, relieving it to have the need and try and stand up to the modern era's hyper-realistic simulation graphics. The gameplay and its mechanics are what I believe to be exactly what they set out to do. It's easy to pick up and play, but hard to master. You can easily hop into a match, but the game does have a small amount of depth with different wrestlers' passive abilities dictated by things like weight class and wrestling style. So at face value, things seem okay. So for most, they would most likely move on to the game's create a character options. And yeah, wow. This really isn't great. Let's face the facts that a good create a wrestler option will make or break a wrestling game. And the options here are so limited that most people just took a look at this and just went, the fuck? Even Fire Pro Wrestling, with their infinitely more stylized game, has a miles better create a wrestler system. On top of there being such limited options to customize your wrestler's face and body type, the clothing options are like you just moved into your first apartment and got rid of your old clothes from high school. You have no options to wear other AEW superstars' clothing, except for a few, but you don't have the option to change the colors or logos that appear on it, followed by the hair and facial hair options being totally lackluster. Wrestling fans want the ability to put themselves into the shoes of the wrestlers they loved and idolized for decades, or even maybe just create a wrestler who doesn't appear in the game, or is from a different company. And without a good character creator, it makes it impossible to achieve that. When it came to the entrances, I didn't mind them being so short. To be fair, after a while, I do turn them off so I can get right to playing anyways, especially in career modes. However, I understand that many of you love having entrances on, and maybe you're playing a universe mode and you have a big great match idea set up, and you want to watch the participants make their way all the way to the ring for this stellar match. And the last thing I have to say about the entrances here is, where's Judas? I want to use it for my theme, damn it! Where is it, Chris? So now you're feeling a bit bummed, and you made your create a wrestler that looks like he's from a great value 2K Battlegrounds. And you decide to take it to the story that is the Road to Elite. It's here that you can choose a created wrestler or one of the superstars on the roster, which is a great feature. I love being able to go through a story mode as one of the wrestlers that's on the base roster. It was one of my favorite things about SmackDown vs. Raw 2007. Road to Elite takes whichever superstar you've chosen for the story and has you go through years of AEW, starting from its creation and first Double or Nothing pay-per-view. You'll be able to go by a week-by-week basis, traveling across the map to each show. As you head to each town, you'll be given the options to see the sights, go out to eat, train, play some mini-games, or participate in shows like AEW Dark. Each of these options has the ability to grant your character buffs or debuffs. For example, going to train will earn you points to level up and earn new abilities, but if your character is too tired and you haven't rested or eaten enough, you'll get injured, and in your next match, unless you go to the doctors, you won't be at 100%. Each playthrough of Road to Elite features different story arcs that will play through in the format of different blocks like A, B, and C. Different blocks will include different encounters, such as the Dark Order or the Inner Circle. There's even special requirements to unlock characters like Paul White, which needs you to be on a long, very long losing streak in order to face off against him. I like the story mode. It had some small yet fun details and options, like when you go out to eat, the game asks if you eat meat or not for vegetarian alternatives to dishes throughout different towns. It even gives you fun facts about said dishes you're eating. However, on your third or fourth playthrough of the game's story, these fun facts become less and less fun, which brings me to the point that this game's only real substance comes from its online and story mode. And to be honest, I can only play Road to Elite so many times without getting bored. Of course now, 8 months later, we've gotten a few alternate attires for the likes of Chris Jericho and Sting, and we were also given Stadium Stampede, and while it's fun and ambitious, you can only deal with getting cheesed by fucking footballs and t-shirt launchers for so long. So, that's the current state of AEW Fight Forever. It's an expensive, a little overhyped, and a clearly rushed nostalgia game for grandpas like me that had a Nintendo 64 growing up. But none of these mean it's a bad game. I know none of that makes sense, but just hear me out. Out of a 5-star rating, I'd give it a 3. Because it's not awful, however, it certainly isn't a great game. The gameplay's fun, and I love how much blood is in it. And when was the last time you could use thumbtacks in a wrestling game? Like I said at the beginning of this video, the game needed at least another year of development. But that may not have been possible, because while researching this game, I found out that they went over their initial planned budget while developing the game, causing tension and issues with the game staff and management within AEW, which, knowing that now, and taking a look at it all from a distance, it clearly shows. I see this game as the 2K15 of AEW. You need to have a foundation to stand on before you can build a house, and this game is the foundation. I believe they needed to prove that they could bring back the feeling of old games we loved, and I'm sure with pressure from investors and going well over your budget for a game, I assume higher ups said, "Hey, does it play? We'll ship it out." Does it excuse what we got? No. But I do hope we get another wrestling game with the same amount of heart and fan service that we got in this first one. So in my opinion, this is a fine wrestling game for other denture-wearing wrestling fans like myself that salivate at the thought of an AKI wrestling game. To say it wasn't a disappointment, I'd be a liar. And I know it's a hard sell at $70 for $40 worth of content. But if you're looking to try something new while waiting for WWE 2K24, give it a shot. It just might surprise you.